Thank you all so much for being here with us today on this Lenten service. It is a joy to be here with all of you, as I said. We are going to be using the Holden Evening Prayer, something that many of you are familiar with. I'll be playing banjo as quietly as I can in the background, so my apologies for all of the times that messes our musicians up front up. But we're starting somewhere. Beyond that, I don't have any other announcements unless you have anything, Pastor Mark.
Just a thank you for being out tonight. The weather helps, does it not? And a reminder, we'll have the last of our Discovering Your Spirituality class immediately after, following in the family room. So just a reminder of that as we gather together. And new member class.
That's right.
Starting next week. And that applies maybe to some of you here, but if you know somebody as well, have them let us know.
Yeah, and if that's something that you would be interested in, the first class is going to be kind of church history, and then the second class is going to be a history of the congregation, and then just Christian theology in general. So we always welcome folks who are not new members to come to those as well.
Would you please turn to your hymnal and a song that you may not know as well? We raise our hands to you, O Lord. And we're going to sing at the beginning of our worship, verses 1, 2, and 3. And Joyce is going to lead us in the first verse, and if you'll join together on the second and third verse, it's hymn number 690. And then during the middle of the service, we will then sing verses 4 and 5 after the message. It's March, and we enter into that time where we look forward to a new season of farmers in the fields, birds returning, animals coming out of hibernation, looking forward to the trees turning bit by bit into this beautiful time of year. And so we sing that, and we raise our hands to you along with all of creation in praise. If you would join together, we will pray. By your word, eternal God, your creation sprang forth, and we were given the breath of life. By your word, eternal God, death is overcome. Christ is raised from the tomb, and we are given new life in the power of your Spirit. May we boldly proclaim this good news in our words and our deeds, rejoicing always in your powerful growth and presence through Jesus Christ, our risen Lord. Amen.
Jesus Christ, you are the light of the world.
The light no darkness can overcome.
Stay with us now, for it is evening.
And the day is almost over.
Let your light scatter the darkness
and shine within your people here. Joyous light of heavenly glory, loving glow of God's own face, you who sing creation's story, shine on every land and race. Now as evening falls around us, we shall voice our songs of you. God of daybreak, God of shadows, come and light our hearts anew. In the stars that grace the darkness, in the blazing sun of dawn, in the light of peace and wisdom, we can hear your quiet song. Love that fills the raft with wonder, and that belongs the weary soul. Love that bursts all chains asunder, set us free and make us whole. You who made the heaven's splendor, every dancing star of night, make us shine within the justice. Let us each reflect your light. Mighty God of all creation, gentle Christ who lights our way, loving Spirit of salvation, lead us on to endless day.
May God be with you all.
And also with you.
Let us sing our thanks to God.
It is right to give God thanks and praise.
Blessed are you, Creator of the universe. From old you have led your people by night and day. May the light of your Christ make our darkness bright. For your word and your presence are the light of our pathways, and you are the light and life of all creation.
Let my prayer rise up as incense before you, the lifting up of my hands as an offering to you.
Oh God, I call to you.
Oh God, I call to you. Come to me now. Oh, hear my voice when I cry to
Let
you.
my prayer rise
Let my prayer rise up like incense before you, the lifting up of my hands as an offering to you.
Keep watch within me, God.
Keep watch within me, God. Deep in my heart may the light of your love be burning bright. Let my prayer rise up like incense before you, the lifting up of my hands as an offering to you.
Oh, praise to the God of all,
Oh, praise to the God of all, Creator of life. Oh, praise be to Christ and the Spirit of love. Let Let my prayer rise up like incense before you, the lifting up of my hands as an offering to you. May our prayers come before you, O God, as incense. And may your presence surround and fill us, so that in union with all creation, we might sing your praise and your love in our lives. Amen.
Our scripture tonight is from Luke chapter 16, verses 1 through 13. Then Jesus said to the disciples, "There was a rich man who had a manager, and charges were brought to him that this man was squandering his property. So he summoned him and said to him, 'What is it that I hear about you? Give me an accounting of your management, because you cannot be my manager any longer.' Then the manager said to himself, 'What will I do? Now that my master is taking the position away from me, I am not strong enough to dig, and I am ashamed to beg. I have decided what to do so that when I am dismissed as manager, people may welcome me into their homes.' So summoning his master's debtors one by one, he asked the first, 'How much do you owe my master?' He answered, 100 jugs of olive oil. He said to him, 'Take your bill, sit down quickly and make it 50. Then he said to another, 'And how much do you owe?' He replied, 100 containers of wheat. He said to him, 'Take your bill and make it 80. And his master commended the dishonest manager because he had acted shrewdly. For the children of this age are more shrewd in dealing with their own generation than are the children of light. And I tell you, make friends for yourself by means of dishonest wealth, so that when it is gone, they may welcome you into the eternal homes. Whoever is faithful in very little is faithful also in much, and whoever is dishonest in very little is dishonest also in much. If then you have not been faithful with the dishonest wealth, who will entrust you with the true riches? And if you have not been faithful with what belongs to another, who will give you what is your own? No slave can serve two masters, for a slave will either hate the one and love the other, or be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and wealth." Here ends the scripture. Luke is talking with his patron, Theophilus, whom he calls Theo. They are continuing a conversation that they have been having about the parables of Jesus that Luke has included in his gospel.
I'm glad you mentioned the parable about the dishonest manager, for this is one of the parables that my wife and I struggle the most with. Jesus seems to be approving of dishonesty and even theft. As I told you before, I became a follower of Christ because I thought his way encouraged moral behavior. What about this parable? If my wife catches one of his managers, or one of her managers, misappropriating funds, is she supposed to commend them?
It seems that way, doesn't it? And the parable, though, doesn't really tell us for sure that the manager was stealing from his master. He was squandering his master's money. He was spending his master's money excessively, not stealing it. And when he told the master's debtors to change what they owed his master, that may have been a kind of theft. But he may have been simply taking off his own commission in order to gain favor with the customer so that he might have a job after his master fired him.
So the manager may not quite seem as dishonest as he does at first, yet the parable seems to be commending him for behavior that is more questionable than moral. He still seems shady to me.
Well, he is shady, I suppose, but Jesus often said things that were shocking or outrageous to get people to think carefully about what he said. Remember how he said, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into the kingdom of heaven.
Yet another example of a negative attitude towards rich people, by the way. But I agree that the image is shocking. I still laugh at the picture in my mind of a camel getting stuck in a needle between its two humps.
Well, and I think Jesus is trying to surprise us with this parable too. But notice that he doesn't commend the manager for his ethics, for his actions. He commends him for being clever. The shady manager reacts to his personal crisis in a way so clever that his master is impressed, even if he disapproves of what he did. Jesus is saying that as we face crisis in our life of faith, we should be just as clever in figuring out what to do about them.
I haven't associated cleverness with faith. I thought we were supposed to be as innocent as children.
As trusting as children. But that doesn't mean we need to be naive or thoughtless as believers. Jesus realized that his message about God and his claims about himself caused a crisis of faith for those who heard him. Jesus wants to encourage his disciples to be thoughtful and clever in how they respond to him.
So we should be thoughtful and clever, even if what we do is a little shady?
No. Jesus doesn't mean that. Again, the parable may seem to suggest that, but it is part of the way Jesus uses exaggeration to get us to think about how we live out our faith.
So this parable has to do with being clever in expressing our faith and has nothing to do with money?
Well, not exactly. It's more complicated than that.
That shouldn't surprise me, I guess.
Well, Jesus commends the manager for being shrewd in how he used his master's money. Now, part of what he means is that we should be shrewd in how we use money. Just as the manager used money to curry favor with potential employers, we should use money to please God. If we use money in ways that please God, then that will be a sign that we will seek to please God in other ways too.
Luke, is this just another way for you to get me and my wife to give you more money for your collection for poor believers here and in Judea?
Do I seem that crude? My answer is no and yes. I do think that contributing to our collection for the poor is a way to use our money in a way that pleases God, but that's not the only way. I mean, you might think of other ways too. In my next book, I'll give several examples of how the first followers of our risen Lord shared their possessions in common so that those who needed help could receive it.
So the clever way to use money is to give it away?
Partly that's true. But you have to use some to take care of your family and maintain your business. Beyond that, you can be creative and thoughtful about how to share the money and wealth God has given to us for people in need. Every Christian may have different opportunities for such sharing.
Well, actually, I can think of many needs right here in Ephesus.
Well, I think it'd be good if the parable helps you to think about how to help those in need. The main thing that Jesus warns us against is turning money into another god. Mammon can be simply the finances we need to support life, or it can become the God we worship instead of our Lord.
I see that in some of our business partners, Luke. All they live for is to accumulate more and more wealth. They hardly have any time for their family or friends, and they don't even seem to enjoy the things that they have. Yes, Jesus is right. It's important to be clever about how we use the money we have.
I'm glad you see the message of Jesus' parable so clearly now then.
But do you think you could have written it more clearly in the first place?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the power of the parable is in its mystery. Strange message. Maybe strange time, too. Here we are on a Wednesday night, and you are hearing about stewardship. And the powerful message that we hear in this parable tonight, one of its meanings is the message that being a steward means not just being clever about how we use our money, manage our money toward the good ends that we have, but how we are clever in how we share it. How we're shrewd in how we bring it and draw the circles ever wider in our lives of those who are affected by what we have. It's a profound message to talk about being rich in giving. We tend to think of that as something which diminishes our wealth. But our true wealth comes in what we share. On a basic level, I think most of us who've come from a family or belong to a family understand that. And when we widen that to include the family of God, we become that much richer. And this and you are rich simply because you have each other and the world. Amen. Let's join together after the message, a brief reading. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Let's join together in our hymn, We Raise Our Hands to You, O Lord, verses 4 and 5. As summer full of springtime's rain, grace follows sorrow, and grief and joy shall bear much fruit, though hidden from our human eyes. Through grace your new creation lies in hands of open. O giver of the goodness come, dwell with us in our earthly home. continue then on page 8 with the Annunciation and Magnificat.
An angel went from God to a town called Nazareth, to a woman whose name was Mary. The angel said to her, "Rejoice, O highly favored, for God is with you. You shall bear a child, and his name shall be Jesus, the chosen one of God Most High." And Mary said, "I am the servant of my God. I live to do your will."
My soul proclaims your greatness, O God, and my spirit rejoices in you. You have looked with love on your servant here, and blessed me all my life through. Great and mighty are you, O Holy One, strong is your kindness evermore. Oh, you favor the weak and lowly one, humbling the proud of heart. You have cast the mighty down from their thrones, and uplifted the humble of heart. You have filled the hungry with wondrous things, and left the wealthy no part. Great and mighty are you, O faithful one, strong is your justice, strong your love. As you promised to Sarah and Abraham, kindness forevermore. My soul proclaims your greatness, O God, and my spirit rejoices in you. You have looked with love on your servant here, and blessed my life through. God of mercy, hold us in love. In peace we pray to you. God of mercy, hold us in love.
For peace and salvation we pray to you.
God of mercy, hold us in love. For peace between nations, for peace between peoples. God of mercy, hold us in love.
For us who are gathered to worship and praise you.
God of mercy, hold us in love. For all of your servants who live out your gospel. God of mercy, hold us in love.
For all those who govern, that justice might guide them.
God of mercy, hold us in love. For all those who labor in service to others. God of mercy, hold us in love.
Grant whether thy knowledge
Keep watch on our loved ones and keep us from danger. God of mercy, hold us in love.
For all the beloved who rest in your mercy,
God of mercy, hold us in love.
help us, comfort us all of our days.
Keep us, hold us, gracious God. Great and merciful God, source and ground of all goodness and life, give to your people the peace that passes all understanding and the will to live your gospel of mercy and justice through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. God, remember us in your love and teach us to pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. Save us from the time of trial and deliver us from evil. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours, now and forever. Amen. Would you please join together in hymn number 570? Now the day is over, and we will sing just one verse of this hymn.
Let us bless our God.
Praise and thanks to you.
May God Creator bless us and keep us. May Christ be the light for our lives. May the Spirit of love be our guide and path for all our days.
Amen. Go in peace and serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.